Ladies and groovers, yes, it's straight back to the 1970s for this old lad here. So we have got, as you can see, an EKO 12 string. It has open gear tuners, nice big old fat volute here, bolt on neck, and I'm guessing, really just by the, actually I'm not sure about that. What do you think about that wood? I was going to say mahogany, judging by the colour, and I'll stick with that. I'll go with mahogany. Very likely, most likely a spruce top, and just these new strings. So let's crack on with it. Couple of points. First of all, I reckon these strings have been on since 1971 or so. What I would say about this, for a start, is that the action is really rather decent. I'm not sure if you can see, but certainly it is probably as good a 12-string action as I've played, to be fair. And right, yes, okay. So the first thing we'll do, fairly obviously, is we will remove the old strings, and those open gears are a bit stiff, and it was tuned incorrectly. It doesn't have the right strings on, it doesn't have a full set of octave strings. I assume that as a string has broken, it's been replaced with probably whatever's just been knocking about. So I will give the gears a bit of love because they are a little bit stiff. I'll lube them up, and there's a particular way that I'll tell you what, I'll just show you on this first one on the bridge pins. So there's a few different methods for removing bridge pins. Excuse me. So on your common or garden string winder, usually you've got this little thing on the end here, which you pop over the bridge pin, if you possibly can. But it doesn't want to come out. Now, what I will tell you is that if you've got it, and usually this only happens on the bass side of the strings, generally speaking on your E and A, they'll become quite tight. And there's a couple of methods that you can use. One that I know that Michael won't like, just a pair of side cutters is really good. Almost, put something underneath so that you don't mark the wood. Such as perhaps a credit card or something like that. A old thing will do as long as it takes the impact. Another thing that you can do, that's come out much more easily, so I'll probably carry on with those. So another thing that you can do is you can release all of these strings and just flop them out of the way, and you can just get a hard anything. I mean, like the back of these would do perfectly. Stick your hand inside the hole and just feel for the pins and just push them up from underneath inside. That works a treat for those difficult to move pins. Right, so I'll have all these off, give it a bit of a clean up, and then we'll just have a look at how the correct way to install strings on a 12 string. So we've given it a bit of a spruce up, and today's string choice is Adagio, which is funny because, of course, Adagio is very much an Italian word, which means slow or slow tempo. And EKO guitars were made in Italy, indeed. Even slightly weirder than that, Adagio strings were actually made in England. Now, I'm rather hoping that they actually come in pairs in the packets. Usually yeah, they do. That's good. So when you're restringing your 12 string, it's really easy to know which goes where. The octave higher ones always go on the top course of pegs here. So you'll have a high one, a low one, or an octave up, regular, octave up, regular, and so on and so forth. So they look acceptable. Now where's my scissors? So I also want to show you, blimey. So I also want to show you this. One of the tuning pegs is bent. And let's give you a little tip with this. Usually, not always, but more often than not, if one of your tuning pegs is bent, it'll either be the D or the G. And I think it's the, which one was it? That's still a bit stiff there. Never mind. Yeah, it's the D. Now, let me tell you, if you attempt, if it works, just leave it. It'll be fine. I mean, obviously, the ideal thing is to replace it. But if you try and straighten it, you'll break it. So, there you go. Right, let's have a string in. Have a look at one, because all the others will, I would assume, be the same. So we'll start with this octave string. Pull the strings out, and obviously it's the thinner one of the two. And so always, when you're putting these in, so you don't want the hole facing upward, you don't want the peg to go on the hole, you want the peg to go on the side bit with the slot facing toward the top of the guitar. So you press that home firmly and then give it a yank to seat it. And so that will go in the, as with any guitar, when you're restringing, make sure the holes are facing the nut slot. And again, same with any guitar, you're going to pull about a fret of slack back. Word. Sounds like that wallet opening. Alright, so that's number one in. And now we shall just rinse and repeat. So that's it, it's all the fresh strings on and nicely trimmed up and really nicely made with very, very low action for one of these because, well, acoustics aren't famous for being pretty slick in the string height area. But this one is very, very nicely made. And so let's have a look at what we've got. So I'm reckoning, so there's 3 pieces of wood in the neck. I don't know, mahogany and 2 other things, perhaps. The side, I would say, oh, that's that. I would have said that it was mahogany, except for the figuring that's in there. I mean, that really is rather nice. It looks all kind of bordering on bird's eye to me. I don't know. No idea. Almost definitely a spruce top. These all had bont on necks, and as I say, you've got open gear tuners, almost certainly a rosewood fretboard, and usually the bridge saddles, usually these, what the bloody hell do they call them? Those bits there. The tailpiece is usually rosewood. I would imagine that the bridge itself is more likely than anything to be bone. And at the top here, you've certainly got some kind of steel thing going on here, and you've got a 0 fret. What does it sound like? Well, let's have a listen. Pretty good, I'll have to say. Very, very nice. It always reminds me a little bit of one of those honky-tonk pianos. So that's it from me and the EKO tonight. This isn't mine. I did have a 12 string and got rid of it because I hated it, to be honest with you. It wasn't as good as this, mind, to be absolutely fair. And so what I use instead now for a 12 string sound is my Line 6 Variax, which is a guitar I feel I cannot manage without. But there you go, that's the first world thing, isn't it? Alright, so have a lovely rest of the life thing, and I shall see you very soon. Adios amigos. Ta-ra.